Welcome everyone to the first Grand Prix of Season 2 in Unlimited Racing 2D. Today we're here in Bahrain, but before we start I'll just briefly run through the changes. In qualifying there will be 1 point awarded to the pole sitter. In this case it is Charles Leclerc. I did qualifying but it didn't save, it didn't record, so that's why you just have the grid in front of you. Also, team transfers, I went through that in the preseason video. What else has changed? Also, the calendar, I think I've showed you that. Sponsors are also in, and I think, yeah, those are the biggest changes. But anyways, let's get into the race. 5 lights up, and away we go here in Bahrain. It looks like Leclerc gets a good start, but Russell gets an even better start on the soft tyres. Down the inside of Charles Leclerc, George Russell now takes P1. Leclerc looks like he's falling down to P3. But as I say that, Sergio Perez, a man who did not race last year, now is in P4, P3. George Russell, that's the start he would have wanted. The soft tyre runners, this is just what they would have wished for. Looks like in the background, Lewis Hamilton making the move on Charles Leclerc for P4. Max Verstappen, no, for P5, sorry, Max Verstappen P4. Although Hamilton now going down the inside of Max Verstappen. He makes the move stick. But Verstappen's going to come back. It's close, but Verstappen gets ahead of Hamilton. Perez now slow down the straight. Hamilton down the inside. He should really get this move done, and so he does. Norris! Really cheeky move from Lando Norris. Takes P1. And now is eyeing up a move on Lewis Hamilton. Surely he can't go around the outside. I think he can. Hamilton's going to use some errs. But Norris now sitting in a pretty P4. Started P7, now in P4. Whilst this is all happening, however, George Russell now just building a gap, building a good lead. Lando Norris down the inside of Max Verstappen. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. As Hamilton gets past Sergio Perez. Verstappen's going to try and fight Norris, but the reigning world champion cannot get the McLaren driver. He has an opportunity though to go down the inside. Yes, he goes down the inside of both of them for P2, but Norris now using some errs. P2 is now his. So tight and congested. However, one man who's, loving everyone battling, George Russell, he's just able to streak, pull away slowly. Charles Leclerc, on the other hand, started pole, I think, now running in a lonely P7. Horrible first few laps for him. But now, if you're running the softer compound tire, round about now, your tires are going to start to go off. This is when drivers such as Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, this is when their race begins. I think the soft tyre runners, they will be pitting now. George Russell, into the pits he goes. The man who should have won last season's race, however, was denied on the last few corners, on the final lap, by Lewis Hamilton. That was painful. But he looks much stronger this year. He's going to pit and come out right just behind his teammates, so basically P3. Yeah, he comes out P3, basically P1 actually. Because don't forget, Perez and Leclerc, they will have to pit as well. Russell's gone back onto the more aggressive soft tyre. Norris on the hards. It looks like Norris is the only driver who's able to keep up with George Russell, just like in the pre-season. Charles Leclerc now, if if the team tell him to, he really should move out of the way because Leclerc's making Russell lose some time. Russell, however, gets the move done, going down the inside. Perez and Leclerc should pit this lap, really. Leclerc's gonna have a look. But no. Stay sensible about it. Leclerc, though, he's staying out for another lap. So, for, Alpine and Leclerc, they are switching the strategy. Is it to hold Lando Norris behind? Because Norris is way faster than Leclerc. This is interesting, you know. A change in strategy. I mean, I guess, you know, what's he got to lose? Max Verstappen P4, he is going to quickly catch up to Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz, though, making a really good move on Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, Season 1 World Champion, and therefore reigning World Champion. He has a new teammate in Lewis Hamilton. Personally, I think Hamilton is not going to cause Verstappen too much issues. Here and there, maybe he may beat Verstappen, you know, but... Well, really, this is Verstappen's team and Hamilton's going to be retiring in a few years' time. Charles Leclerc, though, has done an amazing job to keep Sainz and Verstappen back for that long. And to even get the move, you know, done again. To re-overtake them. He will pit now, surely. Yes, he does. Very interesting tactics from Alpine. Whilst that's all happening though, George Russell building a good lead. He knows what to do, George Russell. He's been in this position many times. Right now it's just about conserving his tyres. Trying to keep a good gap between himself and Norris without destroying the tyres. Although, I think he will be pitting in the next few laps. P3, Max Verstappen. Running P4, Carlos Sainz. P5, Sergio Perez. P6, Lewis Hamilton. 7th, Alexander Albon. 8th, Jack Aitken. P9, Charles Leclerc, although expect to see a really good drive from now on. Leclerc now on the racier soft tyre. Expect to see that. Esteban Ocon, he's going to be rounding out the top 10. However, it looks like some drivers have pitted. Sainz, Verstappen, and Russell have all pitted. Norris stays out. And it looks like Sergio Perez gets in front of Russell. Alpine wouldn't have wanted that. But now, Lando Norris is going to have to push. He's going to have to give it everything he's got. Because this is when it begins getting, you know, important. This is when his race can open up. If Perez can do a good enough job, this may even help Norris. That gap's gone up to 7 seconds, back down to 6 seconds between Perez and Norris. Russell, though, now surely he's got the move. Perez isn't going to make it easy for him. He's not going to make it easy for him. Now that gap's gone up to 8 seconds. Perez is really doing, you know, Norris a favour. Russell will obviously come out ahead. But Perez is doing a great job for Lando Norris. Towards the end of the race, that McLaren will have fresher tyres. However, it looks like Charles Leclerc, so going that one lap longer and then pitting for the soft tyres, it looks like now he's managed to get, you know, the Williams team 3-4. 2-3, sorry, 2-3. But then again, do not count out Lando Norris from this race. George Russell, you know, he's struggling behind Sergio Perez. He has much fresher tyres than the Mexican. But Russell just cannot get past. Perez is a moving chicane. to George Russell. Because of this, now the gap between, Leclerc and Russell is closing, and the gap between Norris and Russell is also closing. Norris on the softs. But now these are the last few laps, of the race. It's going to be so interesting. Who can do what? Strategy-wise, it's going to be interesting. Now we're arriving the back markers, beginning to lap them. Perez still has the lead. Ooh, Norris down the inside of Schwarzman. Manages to lap him with ease. Russell, though, has finally managed to get past Sergio Perez. That, though, has killed his race. However, with a few laps to go, it looks like rain. Rain is forecasted to be coming soon. So if you've just pitted, I'm talking about Russell. Who else has just pitted? Top of my head, I can't really remember. But if you have just pitted, this is not going to be good for you. Sergio Perez, though, he's managed to skip a whole pit stop because he hasn't pitted. They can all get onto the wets now. They all are going on the wets. All of them. One man, though, who's had a horrible Grand Prix. At least up to this point, because you never know what could happen. Charles Leclerc. I just feel like much more should have happened for him. Anyways, it looks like the Racing Point, they're going to be battling for 5th and 6th. Hamilton now round the outside of Max Verstappen. Verstappen caught sleeping a little. Leclerc, though, past Verstappen. Can he get past Lewis Hamilton? No, he can't. Sainz is 4 seconds, nearly 5 seconds, up the road. So I think P5 and P6 will be the newly rebranded Force Amazon India's best position. Mazepin nicely gets out of the way, but really, this is going to be an interesting fight. Whilst this is all happening, do not forget about Lando Norris versus George Russell. Now we're beginning to enter, the final stages of the Grand Prix. George Russell, he knows what happened last season to him. Completely dominant performance, led from start to finish. I think if memory serves well, I think he even may have got pole position. But the last lap, he just went away from him. However, this year it's different for George Russell. He has a faster car. That Alpine is much faster. Personally, I think that's the fastest car on the grid, the Alpine. Another difference that he has is that he's racing against, a driver who's on the same tire age as him. However, this is motor racing. This is Formula 1. This is Unlimited Racing 2D. Anything can happen, and George Russell, he's under a lot of pressure from Lando Norris. Norris is really applying that pressure. Okay, I guess you could say that the AlphaTauri of Lance Stroll got in the way, but what can you say? In other parts of the circuit, it looks like Carlos Sainz is battling Sergio Perez for the final podium spot. Remember, Williams, Microsoft Williams, and Alfa Romeo, both of them, never have they scored a podium in Unlimited Racing 2D. So If they can score a podium for the first time, that would be great. Lando Norris though going slightly wide on the last corner. He knows now these are the laps which are going to win him the race. Equally, these are the laps which are going to lose him the race. It's the closing stages of the Grand Prix now. George Russell, it looks like in the first sector, he's slightly faster than McLaren. But he just has that lead. Who's going to win? Lando Norris, will he get his first ever Grand Prix victory in Unlimited Racing 2D? And McLaren's first? Or will he have to settle for a second podium in Unlimited Racing 2D? And will it be, I think, George Russell's third win in the sport's history? We'll have to find out the next few corners. It looks like that McLaren's got really good straight line speed as well. And just as we thought it was drying out, rain's arrived again here in the desert. Rain has arrived. Slightly further down, it looks like Sergio Perez has managed to get his position back on Carlos Sainz. However, Sainz now, P3. This is going to be a really good battle. A really good battle. Hamilton and Verstappen staying ahead of Charles Leclerc. Alexander Albon, P8. His first weekend back after a short break from the sport. However, back with a big battle here. Lando Norris versus George Russell. Honestly, if I was the betting man, I think I just wouldn't bet this time round because it's so tight. One mistake from George Russell and Lando Norris is in. Lando Norris is there. He's there to pounce. He's there to take the position. However, it looks like George Russell surviving all of that. It looks like he's going to take home the race win. Lando Norris has driven well. And he shouldn't give up, because there's still many corners left until the end of the Grand Prix. Honestly, I don't know how many. I could count now, but honestly, I'm too lazy. Never mind, there are 10 corners here on this track. But the gap between the Alpine and the McLaren now just starting to open up a little bit. Just growing, slightly. As is with Sainz and Perez. The closest battle on track. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton came into Verstappen's team. So far it looks like he's going to beat his teammate first time round. Charles Leclerc down the inside of Max Verstappen, manages to get the move done. But Verstappen looks like he's going to come back for more down the inside. Leclerc's going to give him little room, if any. And Verstappen stays behind for now. As the race winner of the first Grand Prix of the season is George Russell. Lando Norris comes second. Carlos Sainz for Alfa Romeo will take their first podium in their history. Sergio Perez, after a really good drive, P4 is his best. Lewis Hamilton will take P5, beating his teammate Max Verstappen, who finishes P6. Charles Leclerc, the pole sitter, had a horrible first race for his new team, finishing P7. Alexander Albon, his first race for McLaren, P8, I'm sure he'll take that. P9, Jack Aitken, a driver always developing, and Esteban Ocon, P10. P11, it looks like it's Mick Schumacher, with P12 being Pierre Gasly. P13 and P14 being Callum Ilott and Yuki Tsunoda, with Daniel Ricciardo P15. Really poor performance, despite what happened last season. P16 looks like it's Nico Hulkenberg, P17 and 18 being the AlphaTauris of Lance Stroll and Nikita Mazepin. Robert Schwartzman continuing his poor form in that Ferrari, finishing P19 with Valtteri Bottas P20. Drivers' standings, of course, they'll remain the same because this was the first Grand Prix of the season. But constructors-wise, Apple Alpine, first place. They're followed by McLaren and Force India. Alfa Romeo, though, what a switch around it's been the last 12 months, you know. They've gone from being in a league of their own in last place to now being able to fight for podiums, even getting their first podium in Carlos Sainz's debut race. However, you already know Microsoft Williams, and even don't count out, Mercedes. They're going to be wanting that P4. P7 Haas, I think they'll finish there this year, although it's still too early to tell. AlphaTauri, Ferrari, and Red Bull, all on 5 points, P8, 9, and 10. Thank you for joining me for the first race of the season. What a Grand Prix it was. Hope that you can join us next time out in China. Thank you and goodbye.